A top Chinese communist official has been missing for weeks. Was it over an affair? John Kerry wasted precious fossil fuels traveling to China for climate talks. And UC Berkeley is being investigated for its ties to China's military. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Chris Chappell, and this episode is sponsored by Surfshark. Whenever you go online, you should be using a VPN like Surfshark to cover your tracks and protect your identity. So people disappear in communist countries. The latest is China's foreign minister, Qin. He's been missing for weeks, and as of this recording, no one knows where he is. Now, earlier this month, the foreign ministry said he missed an ASEAN meeting due to health reasons. But that's the only explanation that's been given. The last time he was seen in public was on June 25th, when he met with diplomats from Vietnam, Russia, and Sri Lanka. The government's silence since then, combined with his prolonged absence, has been driving intense speculation, including theories that an affair with a television personality might be behind his problems. It's been rumored that he's had a child with Phoenix TV host Fu Xiaotian, which is totally plausible. After all, a top executive at a state-owned company was recently sacked for being caught in public with his mistress. But if he had tea after his meeting with that Russian diplomat, I think it's just as plausible that that's what's happened to him. Is UC Berkeley working with China's military? That's what two members of Congress want to know. China Committee Chairman Mike Gallagher and Chairwoman of the Education and Workforce Committee, Virginia Fox, are investigating Berkeley's joint institute with two Chinese entities. The Tsinghua Berkeley Shenzhen Institute is a joint venture between UC Berkeley, Tsinghua University, and the Shenzhen government. On its website, the institute says it's focused on information technology and data science. Gallagher and Fox are worried that China's military is getting access to Berkeley research and expertise through the institute, including semiconductor technology. And since China fuses military and civilian technologies, that's a real concern. On its Facebook page, the institute says that almost 17% of its graduates in 2020 went to work for state-run enterprises, while another 7% went to work for the government after graduating. The Congress members have sent letters to Berkeley, the Shenzhen government, and Tsinghua University asking for more information about their relationship. Berkeley told the New York Times that it planned to fully and transparently cooperate with the investigation. And speaking of Congress, could the Senate finally do something about China's deadly fentanyl getting into the U.S.? Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he supports sanctions against China being added to the National Defense Authorization Act. The amendment would declare the fentanyl epidemic a national emergency. It would also allow the Biden administration to sanction China, Mexico, and other countries for their role in fentanyl being trafficked into the U.S. And after the break, U.S. climate envoy John Kerry is on a fool's mission to China. Welcome back. Yesterday marked 24 years since the start of the Chinese Communist Party's persecution of the Falun Gong spiritual practice. Before the persecution began in 1999, 100 million people were practicing Falun Gong, according to official statistics. That's about 1 in 12 people in China, which meant there were more Falun Gong practitioners in China than Communist Party members. And so, communism happened. Falun Gong practitioners became a living organ bank for the Communist Party. But after 24 years of persecution, Falun Gong has not been crushed. In fact, it's become a powerful force exposing the CCP. One of the earliest COVID whistleblowers, Fang Bin, was a Falun Gong practitioner. For that, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison and was just released in May, with all his organs intact too, so happy ending. There's a bill in the U.S. House of Representatives right now called the Falun Gong Protection Act that would impose sanctions on China for its forced organ harvesting program. Another bill on China's organ harvesting passed the House in March and is now awaiting approval in the Senate. And speaking of organ harvesting, the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons recently came out against China's organ harvesting program. They say the U.S. shouldn't be educating or training any medical professionals from China as long as it's killing people for their organs. But despite China, literally harvesting organs from people, U.S. climate envoy John Kerry is still hoping China cares about the environment. Kerry was in China last weekend for 3 days of climate talks. He said they were productive, although he also said it's going to take a little more work to break new ground. Yes, every time China needs a carrot to get the U.S. to cooperate, China will string the U.S. along with climate change promises. Already, the Global Times is warning that if the U.S. continues its crackdown on China, escalating tensions and hostility between the two sides, it is unlikely to be conducive to any kind of cooperation, including on climate change. Remember, it was China that broke off climate change talks last year over then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. This just shows that China sees climate change not as an existential crisis, but a bargaining chip. And while Kerry was there, China was baking in record heat. Tuesday was the 27th day this year that Beijing has recorded temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius, or 95 degrees Fahrenheit, the most number of days in 1 year since records began. The heat didn't stop Chinese tourists from flocking to the flaming mountains in Xinjiang, though. On Wednesday, tourists took photos next to a 5.6-foot thermometer, which registered 178 degrees Fahrenheit. For anyone who's wondering, that's plenty hot enough to fry an egg. And after the break, is there a way out for Hong Kongers? Welcome back. China seems to be encouraging Philippine shadow diplomacy. Former Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte made a surprise trip to Beijing on Monday where he met with Xi. Current President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said he wasn't aware of the trip, but welcomed the additional channel of communication. Duterte was seen as a very China-friendly president, at least towards the end of his tenure, and after the meeting, Xi urged him to maintain his important role in Philippine-China ties. Marcos Jr. said he hoped they talked about the South China Sea, where China has been increasingly aggressive in recent years. Earlier this month, the Philippines accused China of more harassment near the Second Thomas Shoal, which the Philippines and China both claim. The Philippines said their Coast Guard ships were followed, harassed, and obstructed by much larger Chinese Coast Guard ships. China's readout of the conversation with Duterte said China upholds a neighborhood diplomacy of amity, sincerity, mutual benefit, and inclusiveness. And speaking of inclusivity, the Canadian government has dropped education requirements for Hong Kong migrants trying to get permanent residency there. Starting August 15th, there will be no more education requirements for Hong Kongers who have worked in Canada for at least a year. Before that, Canada's immigration policy said Hong Kongers had to have graduated from a Canadian post-secondary institution in Canada within 5 years of applying. HP is diversifying supply chains away from China. The company said that it would move production of millions of personal computers to Thailand and Mexico this year. One of its suppliers told Nikkei Asia it also planned to shift some production to Vietnam next year. And this episode has been sponsored by Surfshark. When you go online, everything you do is being tracked and logged by the websites you visit and your internet service provider, and in many cases by your government. That's why no matter where you live or what you do online, you should always be keeping your internet activity private with a VPN. And now Surfshark has servers you can connect to in over 100 countries. That's more than any other VPN, so that makes your connection faster and more reliable. Plus, Surfshark has top-of-the-line encryption and a no-logs policy, meaning they don't collect your browsing data. In fact, Surfshark was rated Editor's Choice for the best VPN for privacy and security by PC Mag. So check out Surfshark. With just one Surfshark account, you can connect as many devices as you want. Try it out now. Surfshark has a special deal that includes 83% off a 2-year plan plus 3 extra months for free. You can protect yourself for just $2.21 a month. So go to surfshark.com/uncensored and use the code uncensored to secure this deal. The link is in the description below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching China Uncensored.